I think a lot of people are very proud of the job we've done. We've had an amazing year. This has been one of the greatest years.
Right now at 6, President Trump sharing a long list of first-year wins by his administration, but not everyone agrees.
It's our lives that are going to be affected most by his policies, so might as well stick up.
We're following protests across the Bay Area against the president's policies and taking a closer look at the efforts to challenge the Trump administration in court.
From my perspective, when a bully takes action, we have to defend ourselves. We have to stand up for our communities and our family members.
And Marin County leaders looking for federal help after millions of dollars in flood damage. The cleanup costs after king tides hit the region. And later, it wasn't an escape from Alcatraz, but an escape to Alcatraz you've just got to see.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 6. It's been a year since President Trump took office for his second term. And today, he talked about some of the big wins of his administration, highlighting his immigration crackdown and economic policies. But here in the Bay Area, the day was marked by protests against the administration. So our chopper is live over a large one happening right now in San Francisco. It started at Civic Center Plaza. And in the last hour, people started marching down Market Street. It is all part of a national march called Walkout for Our Freedoms. And our Kelsey Thorne has been following the protest from the very beginning, joins us live now. So Kelsey, what's happening right now?
Hey, Juliette. Yeah, well, we've made it all the way to the federal building. So as you said, the march went down Market Street. They took a turn on 6th, took a turn on Mission, and took a turn on 7th. So now they are stopped here again in front of the federal building where there are now speakers talking to the crowd again. As you said, this is a protest in protest of the president's administration and of the policies that he has put in place over his last year in office. We have heard a lot of people talking about all of the operations ICE has been doing across the country, as well as the military action in Venezuela. Every single person we have talked to here is not a fan of the president. They are not a fan of what he has been doing over the past year, and they are using this protest to show that displeasure with the administration. We talked with 2 women earlier about why they wanted to come out and participate. Here's what they told us.
I love the United States. I am an American citizen. I believe in democracy and justice and the rule of law, and it's not happening now.
I'm so fearful for our democracy. I'm so fearful that we'll lose our rule of order, our constitutional law.
That really seems to be the sentiment from so many of these protesters. They are concerned about the future of this country and democracy under this president, and that is why they are choosing to come out here and protest tonight. Now, it's unclear if they're going to stop here or if they're going to go back to City Hall right now, Juliette, but they are at least stopped in front of the federal building for now. We will, of course, follow them if they continue to move.
Absolutely, Kelsey. Thanks so much. And here's a look at other rallies happening across the Bay Area today. This is at the Stand for Good March in Oakland. This started just about a half hour ago. Protesters plan to walk around Lake Merritt to speak out against ICE. And then this group of protesters gathered earlier in El Cerrito. It's part of a Free America walkout. Demonstrators lined both sides of the street at El Cerrito Plaza.
I kind of have to be out here. It's getting a little much, don't you think? As far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of people who are suffering, both in this country and out of this country.
And in Palo Alto, protesters were outside the offices rallying against the tech company over its ties to ICE. 404 Media told CBS News a new app powered by Palantir helps ICE agents zero in on neighborhoods to raid. One protester said today's demonstration was their example of trying to create some good trouble.
To defeat Trump and his craziness, it's chaos every day, and you have no idea what's next.
President Trump touted his first-year accomplishments today in a very lengthy White House briefing. He talked for about 2 hours before he started making his way to Switzerland for the 2026 World Economic Forum. One of the biggest topics expected to come up on the world stage tomorrow, the president's desire to take control of Greenland.
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what gives the U.S. the right to take away that self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled. We will work something out where NATO's going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy.
So ahead of the meeting, the president shared a post on his Truth Social account. It shows a doctored image of an Oval Office meeting with a map of Canada and Greenland covered in the American flag. The president came into the briefing with a thick stack of paper labeled accomplishments, reciting a full list of actions he and the administration have taken since his inauguration. And some of those victories he mentioned: the military action in Venezuela, sealing business deals and investments in the U.S., and taking action on prescription drug prices. The president also got in a couple of shots at one of his regular targets, Governor Newsom.
I had a very good relationship with Gavin Newsom when we were in office together. I was president, he was the governor of California. He would talk about it often, and somewhere we just went astray. I just hate the way California is being run. We actually have people leaving. It's never happened before, but I hate the way it's being run.
So the governor is already in Davos, Switzerland, and he told CBS News' Ed O'Keefe he hopes talking about the interactions with the president helps others face off with the administration.
Just a stronger backbone. Trump thrives on finding vulnerabilities and weakness, and he exploits them. Come back over and over and over and over again. What he doesn't respond well to, and what is effective, is strength.
The two did recently align on at least one plan. Both rolled out pitches earlier this month to try and restrict corporations from buying single-family homes. California has been leading the charge against the Trump administration's policies in court. The state has filed dozens of lawsuits ranging from civil rights and immigration to federal funding and abuse of power. And San Francisco has also taken legal action to block President Trump's directives. Our Lauren Toms is live in San Francisco with a closer look at the legal resistance 1 year in. Lauren.
Juliet, it has been a busy year for attorneys in California and right here in San Francisco as lawsuits have been filed at unprecedented rates challenging Trump administration policies as California emerges as a legal counterweight to the Trump administration. Once President Trump returned to power 1 year ago, Shira Levine says she knew her job as an immigration judge in San Francisco could be on the line.
I knew that my job was at risk if I continued to do my very best to uphold due process every day as a judge, and I was okay with that.
And by September, she was fired, one of 14 immigration judges removed in San Francisco during the administration's first year.
Are we going to defend our immigrants?
At the same courthouse on Montgomery Street, protests erupted over arrests during hearings, people detained while appearing as required by law. Now, that courthouse is closing, its judges largely gone.
I do believe that these terminations were unlawful. The shoving of cases into the detention system where people might be held for weeks or months without even a hearing, where it's very, very difficult for people to get counsel, is an attempt to subvert due process, and with that, really to subvert the will of Congress.
As protests intensified, Bay Area cities started challenging the administration in court. Leading the way, San Francisco City Attorney David Chu.
I don't think any of us in roles like mine ever anticipated a moment where we would see a president who would routinely violate the law, disregard the Constitution, and do it with muzzle velocity.
His office has filed 14 lawsuits against the Trump administration, many targeting enhanced immigration enforcement and federal funding cuts the city says are unlawful.
This is a president who is trying to bully cities and jurisdictions around the country. And from my perspective, when a bully takes action, we have to defend ourselves.
The city's efforts are part of a broader strategy led by California, turning the state into what California Attorney General Rob Bonta calls a constitutional counterweight and a critical check on power in Washington.
Our democracy is resilient and strong, and it is definitely being stress tested by one man and his lawless agenda.
For Shira, the gavel is gone. Her fight for immigrant rights now continues from the other side of the bench.
So while I'm incredibly concerned, and of course I'm very encouraged by everyone who's come together to push back on this, This is not our permanent situation. This is going to change because this is not what our laws stand for. It's not what our democracy stands for. And I believe that people are going to come together to make sure that this remains a country of laws and due process.
Now, both Chu and Bonta said today that their work is a marathon, not a sprint, neither expecting their work to slow down in the coming 3 years of the Trump administration. Now, they both highlighted that they have been able to secure billions of dollars in federal funding that both the city and state rely on, but billions more are at stake as the administration shows no signs of slowing down their efforts to pursue their political priorities on progressive cities like San Francisco. Juliet?
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren Toms. Lauren, thank you. And we also heard today from the chair of the San Francisco Republican Party. He believes momentum is still building up for the GOP party and is optimistic about the outlook for the midterm elections.
I'm hoping that's an opportunity where people do some soul searching and ask themselves, which party do they really think is going to solve the problems to come?
And we will continue to follow the legal actions from California and the latest as President Trump marks 1 year into his second term. You can find it on air, online at kpix.com, and streaming on the free CBS News app. Still ahead, right here at 6, parts of Marin County started the new year underwater, and now they're looking to the feds to get things back on track and cleaned up.
Right now, we have about between $3.5 and $5 million worth of damage countywide.
Just a big storm, and we all kind of put our eyes out on the levee and to see what was going on.
And there's a big addition coming to Fremont when the biggest HMart in the country will make its debut. You may remember these scenes. Historic king tides flooded Marin County earlier this month, leaving several roads and neighborhoods underwater and forcing some people to commute via kayak. Damages to county property are estimated to be in the millions. And today, county leaders declared an emergency proclamation in the hopes of obtaining some federal relief. But as John Ramis reports, getting those funds may not be so easy.
In order to get any state or federal disaster funding, the county has to document what damage was actually done. And it turns out the largest dollar figure occurred right here in the Santa Venetia neighborhood. When the New Year's rain began falling, along with a king tide, some towns in Marin got pretty soggy. In San Rafael's Santa Venetia neighborhood, they did what they always do in bad weather.
Just a big storm, and we all kind of put our eyes out on the levee and to see what was going on.
Marilyn von Schalscha's home backs up to Galenas Creek, where the only thing standing between it and the water is this small earthen levee. The neighborhood sits low on former marshland, and the neighbors, who are accustomed to a little water on the streets, luckily didn't have much of a problem during the storm.
We knew it was about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet below the top. Not bad.
You don't seem very worried by this.
Not yet. Just not yet. If we keep having storms like this, and we can't get these levees fixed in the near future, it might be a problem.
But the county says the levee was harmed by the large tidal pressure, sustaining an estimated $2.6 million in damage. In all, unincorporated county properties took a hit of between $3.5 and $5 million. And at Tuesday's meeting, the Board of Supervisors officially authorized an emergency declaration.
It is the first step in order for us to work with FEMA and the state. It allows for us to let the state and federal government know that we do have impacts from this storm, which will allow for additional support that comes in from the state or federal government.
But getting emergency federal funds isn't easy these days, especially in California. There is a minimum threshold of loss to qualify, and the Trump administration is considering increasing those levels, shifting more of the financial responsibility to the states.
We have to be able to tell the story of what's happened here in Marin County, regardless of the political status. We want to make sure that we're supporting our residents and our members of the community by sharing that information with them.
The Santa Venetia neighbors may not be too alarmed at this point, but the county says it's a problem now. In fact, they say it's an emergency, and they're hoping politics can be put aside to help pay for a solution.
Fixing the levees may get even more complicated because the county's emergency declaration can only get FEMA funding to repair public infrastructure. So it's unclear right now whether the levee is public property or the responsibility of the homeowners. All right, now to Fremont, where the popular Asian supermarket chain HMart just announced plans to open a giant store. So it's set to be 100,000 square feet. It is the largest in the country. The store will take over a vacant lot that was once a Kohl's in the Pacific Commons shopping mall. The new location will be multiple levels with a food hall, sit-down restaurants, and entertainment, a first for the company. Fremont's economic developer says the city was all in on HMart's vision from the first conversation.
We want you to go big, and as big as you can imagine, we will be with you in lockstep the entire way.
Construction is expected to begin later this year and should take about a year and a half to complete. When it's finished, the city expects HMart to draw shoppers from across the Bay Area.
Well, there's been some really nice weather over the past couple of days, but also not so great air quality. Things will be changing, though, but does that mean rain? I'll let you know coming up in just a bit.
Mother Nature with a beautiful show overnight from the Northern Lights. I love this. This was the view caught by an Alert California camera not far from the Oregon border around 3 this morning. If you have video or pictures of the Northern Lights, tag us on social media using the hashtag KPIX. You know, my son is going to school in Oregon, but thankfully he wasn't up at 3 in the morning getting these.
Maybe he just wasn't telling you that he was
allegedly
up, or at least he wasn't looking at the sky, probably.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it is nice to know that sometimes you can get it from spots like Livermore or further north.
Oh, we
know.
could 100% see the Northern Lights as far south as the Bay Area, but the cloud coverage last night, that's the reason.
That's the issue. That's what we're standing on right now, I think.
Yeah, what we're standing on right now. It's the outskirts of a storm system, a very weak storm system that's not going to bring us any rain. It's just going to cover our view of the stars, cover our view of the Northern Lights last night. There won't be any more Northern Lights tonight, so we're not missing out on anything. I want to show you all is a beautiful sunset, though. What hopefully you didn't miss out on this evening, and if you did, don't worry, I've got you. Beautiful time lapse right behind me. It showed you quite a lot of that cloud coverage that continued to stream overhead, and it's likely going to be that way tomorrow as well. Mostly cloudy conditions are going to be sticking around. Temperatures, though, are going to be within a few degrees of normal, if not a couple of degrees above average for places like Oakland and San Jose. Nice day tomorrow, even with a little bit more of that cloud coverage. Not as nice as it was this past weekend when we got into the upper 60s to near 70s down near San Jose. But hey, it's still going to be nice out there. Today was a couple of degrees cooler than yesterday because of the cloud coverage. Not crazy cool by any means, but a degree to maybe 5 degrees cooler than yesterday. And by overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning, it's going to be seasonable. Upper 40s across our inland communities, maybe some low 40s sprinkled in there to upper 30s across our North Bay, mid to upper 40s across our coastal communities. Again, it's all relative for this time of year, but it's very normal. Very early mornings, make sure to grab a jacket by the afternoon hours. Dress in layers because it's going to be a comfortable day once again. Those highs tomorrow afternoon are going to be in the upper 50s to low 60s, but it's down near Santa Cruz, Monterey, Salinas. Yesterday, you were actually in the low 70s. So the fact that tomorrow you're going to be in the upper 50s, it's definitely going to feel cooler by tomorrow afternoon. And the reason, again, is because of the cloud coverage that's going to continue to stream overhead. Likely going to be a lot sunnier by Thursday, so look at what happens. Thursday, you notice a little bit more of those orangey colors in there. Those signify the more widespread 60s that are returning. No longer seeing upper 50s. Not huge temperature fluctuations. It's still going to be within a few degrees of normal for this time of year all the way through the weekend. So not too many changes on the way, just an increase in cloud coverage here and there, increasing our temperatures here and there. No huge roller coaster, though. This cloud coverage, you might be excited thinking, hey, is a storm system heading our way? Unfortunately, no, it's just clouds. There might actually be a little bit of activity down in Southern California and over the Sierra, but we're not really going to be getting in on any of that action. Just the cloud coverage that's likely going to dissipate by the later parts of the week and allow us to soak up a lot more sunshine by the upcoming weekend. What the storm system is going to do, though, is what I showed you earlier. It's going to disperse the air and it's going to allow our air quality to improve. So over the past couple of days, it's been pretty hazy out there. Air quality has not been the greatest, but by later parts of the week and into the weekend, with that increased wind flow, as that storm system moves overhead, disturbs the atmosphere a little bit, dissipates a lot of that bad air quality. So it's good news. No rain on the way, but hey, we'll take the improving air quality. And the chance for rain is finally going to be returning by the last few days of the month. This is going to be Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So that is over 7 days from now. And we're going to continue to see those temperatures within a degree or two of normal all the way through then. So you can keep your umbrella in your closet. You're not going to need it anytime soon, again, at least until the last few days of the month and into February. So if you have any outdoor plans, maybe any hiking that you've been wanting to do, winter hikes this time of year are absolutely gorgeous. It's the perfect time to do so. Again, until the active weather returns by the end of the month. But Jules, we need the active weather. Yes. We need the rain. This is our atmospheric river season. We're used to a lot of rain this time of year. So the break is kind of nice, but I have my fingers crossed that it returns sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and think about people on the East Coast going, your winter hikes are like our summer hikes sometimes.
Exactly.
So.
But we've got to appreciate where we live.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. When we come back, it's not just something you don't see every day. It's something we've never seen before. The big swim to Alcatraz for one coyote. And here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. Tonight, the new guidance on phones and social media for kids, why doctors are now saying limiting screen time is not enough. That's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
So it's a viral video. It is certainly making the rounds across the internet. It is of a coyote swimming over a mile to get to Alcatraz Island. So you can see it. Look, its head is bobbing over the water. Then when it reaches the shore, the canine starts shivering as it struggles to find its footing along the rocks. A nature expert says the coyote may have been forced to make the treacherous journey after being forced out of its territory by humans and other species. That's not cool. She shared her advice about what to do with the coyote now that it's made it to the rock.
Leave the coyote alone, because this is it doing what it does best. They are survivalists and ready to push their envelopes.
All right, Kessler also says the coyote will have more than enough food available to it on the island, including banana slugs, rats, mice, and birds. Have a great dinner. CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service. We're back here with more news at 7 o'clock, more local news. Until then, Tony DeCopel up next.